So the aim of today is really for you to decide on one action that you can implement today that can improve your retirement outlook. And I really hope that that presentation will actually help you, give you some ideas. My name is Catherine Eastbrand. I'm certified financial planner, and our practice specializes in retirement planning. And so what we do with clients really is very often people really don't know what financial planners do. They kind of think that we invest money, we try to get the best returns, and that's what we do. That's it couldn't be further from the truth. Retirement planning these days is all about the strategies, putting money together and using systems and understanding money, understanding taxes, understanding Centrelink rules, all the rules, legal rules, putting together how to put the strategy to maximize what you want to have maximized financially. So we are, when we're talking about retirement or preparing for retirement, we are looking how we can maximize your overall savings, how we can maximize your income in retirement, how we can maximize government benefits. Very often people come to me and we have, if they, before seeing me, if they go to Centrelink, they might not be eligible for age pension, or they might be receiving $5 of age pension. When we organize the money, knowing the system, all of a sudden the age pension level can triple in value. And I always say, if there is any way to improve your government benefits, it means that this is the money that you don't have to spend yourself. Every single dollar from the government counts. And especially access to, concession cards. This is a huge benefit. That's another thing that it's a little bit of a misconception. I always say it's much better to receive savings than earn more. And the reason for that is savings come to you tax-free. Any income that you receive, you have to pay taxes. So especially in retirement, it's absolutely crucial to maximize all those benefits that are available to you. We look at improving the value of your estates. Especially for women, it's extremely important to leave some legacy, some money for their children. So that's part of our planning. We are trying to set up the most efficient retirement income streams that if we can get some investment, some age pension access, that can run along age pension as well. We are always looking into minimizing taxes. That's probably that's a major part of our planning. We are looking at securing any benefits that you would like to leave for your beneficiaries. So I'm going back to maximizing this estate, but also passing the money in an extremely secure way to your children. Improving your investment portfolios. So we are investing money for clients as well. And whatever the problems really clients come to us with, we try to resolve. We're dealing with selling properties, we're dealing with capital gains tax, we're dealing with taxes inside the superannuation. So there are a lot of things that can be improved that unless you speak with financial planner, very likely you wouldn't even be aware of. We are independent financial planning. So what that means is that we do not accept any payments from anybody. The only party paying us for our work are clients. So we don't get any commissions, we don't get any bonuses. We are truly, fully independent practice. So that basically puts us in a beautiful position for clients because we really have the best interest of our clients because there is no other temptation. By removing all those commissions and those payments, we're truly just working with clients and for their benefit. Now, sorry, a friend of mine, actually, some years ago, she told me that I should write a little story as to how I became a financial planner. As you can tell with my accent, I wasn't born here in Australia. So a lot of things that happened in my life happened, and they kind of slowly, step by step, took me to this profession of financial planning. And that goes back to my family, goes back to my extremely weird travel to Australia and what actually happened to me in Australia as well. All those little points they took me towards this financial planning. And I honestly believe that I don't believe in coincidences. I honestly believe that whatever happens to you in life happens for a reason, and you just really have to be open-minded, recognize this, because that will take you to the best place where you're supposed to be. And I honestly, truly believe that I probably shouldn't be doing or wouldn't be doing anything else. I really still love my profession, and I've been doing this for almost 26 or 7 years, which I shouldn't be saying out loud, because it just proves how old I actually am. So yeah. So if you are interested in having a read, it's a short, probably 10-15 minutes read. You can visit my website about retirement.com.au, and you can go to resources, I think, and you can find that book, download, and you can have a read, and you can see if that story of mine actually resonates with you. Yeah, it's I like going back and reading again and again myself, because it's hard to believe sometimes what life sort of introduces to you. Um, Now, so why financial planning actually matters for women? So Australian women are more confident than our Asian ladies. For example, 60% of ladies in Australia feel very confident with money, as opposed to 49 in Asia. So this is just a quirky information. But what I have noticed is women in Australia, yes, we might feel confident with money, but usually it goes back to savings and running our budget. Australian women are not really the best when it comes to decision making when we're talking about investing. Um, so despite this confidence with savings and running budget, 74% of Australian women are actually worried about the cost of living, and 45% are concerned about debt. With that, I've noticed there is more and more and more people, whether that's single or couples, that are going into retirement with debt, with mortgages. So if this is you, really, I would strongly suggest have a good conversation with somebody, because the last thing you want is to have this debt hanging over your head when you are closer to retirement. And only half feel financially independent. So, and by independent, what I mean really is while working, I'm earning money, I'm independent. When in retirement, that independence is different, because you really go back to relying on your own money. Now, sorry, my computer is really not working well. Okay. Um, Investment and perception gap. What that refers to is that only 30% of Australian women believe that investing is for people like me. Like women can actually say that, oh, investing is not for people like me. I don't know enough. I'm scared. I don't know how to go about it. So it's in comparison to 57% of men. So that's a little bit of a scary thought. So if this is you, if you don't feel comfortable, this is why you have professionals. Work with somebody, ask questions, and just learn. That's probably my very first thing that I would say. Um, yep, sorry. So this is something that I was talking about before. All the things that are happening in women's life that are taking us away from saving and taking us away from understanding or caring about money is all this, dealing with childcare responsibilities, our health, employment, breaks in employment. All of this creates a little bit more difficult environment for women to be as savvy about money as men usually are. So what I'm trying to say is women really should open this dialogue. If this is you, you really should either speak, have a conversation with the professional, or there are groups where you can participate and you can just discuss money. I wouldn't really recommend talking to your neighbor. That's probably not the best idea, or to a taxi driver, which happens all the time. Because they know it all, but try to speak to people who know more than you, and you can really learn a great deal very, very quickly. Of So gender gap is still an issue in Australia. Women, even at the same position that men, will be always paid less. That's unfair, but that's fact of life. And considering the fact that we live longer, we really need to concentrate on those savings. We have those career interruptions, as I was saying before, for childcare, for caring for our parents, for example. Our life expectancy is longer, so we require more money for that. I've mentioned also risk aversion. Uh, Being conservative really, to me, proves a little bit, I'm sorry to say, a little bit of lack of understanding how money works and why money should be invested in a particular way. The more conservative we are, the more we're missing out. So it's really understanding how market works, what volatility is, and what risk is acceptable and what risk is just not. And then we have those, as I've mentioned before, risks of divorces. I've mentioned those grey divorces. They not only there is greater and greater number as we progress, but also we have what we call no blame divorces, and they very often women end up worse off because it's on the basis of agreement between two parties, of course, but women, again, being more on the emotional side than men, women very often will go and choose, I want to hold on to family home. And men will very gladly get all the money. Now, home will not feed you. Home will not provide anything else, just roof over your head. If you are in a situation of the divorce, you have to go and speak to somebody who is not connected emotionally to your situation and can very rationally assist you and tell you what is long term the best for your future. And in 9 situations out of 10, home is not that. And especially if your plan is to hold on to this home because my children were born there, because I have all the history, all my memories. It's all nice and beautiful, but it can break you. Okay, so lack of engagement, if not main breadwinner. So in here very often, and I can see that when I have appointments with a couple, very often, in always, there is one person that is a driver. Um, Unfortunately, very often it's a man. And women, if they're not, they tend not to be sometimes engaged. And I really have to be very mindful of that and go and ask separate questions, like really pay attention to the lady to make her answer the question so I can see that she, number one, understands what we're talking about, and if not, I will spend time explaining more. But this is the problem, where if there is in a couple situation, one person running finance, the other person will be pushed aside. And if, God forbid, later on divorce happens or husband passes away, that lady is in big trouble. So we should always be very engaged when it comes to issue of money. This is another sad truth that we hear about actually more and more about family abuse. I'm talking here about financial abuse, which happens as well. So that's again a situation if this is you or if you know somebody, it's hard to break it. It's a matter of again talking to a specialist and asking for help. As I was saying before, if we have a couple situation and let's say couple divorces or partner passes away, then a wife is left with all the financial matters, sometimes burdens, sometimes it's less. But going back to the advisor that was working mostly with my husband can create a little bit of lack of trust. So then just use your instinct and decide, do I want to be with that person or, sorry, my phone keeps coming up. Do I want to talk to this financial planner or should I be talking to somebody? Women are really good with gut feeling. I always make my decisions with gut feeling. So if you just listen to that and then you can choose the partner to talk to and work with. Now, strategies for women within financial planning. So if you would like to sort of get more involved with your money, is building financial literacy is probably the most important. So you really have to understand, number one, budgeting, savings, investing, how superannuation works, why everyone is saying that it's worth really contributing as much as you possibly can, and what is your best situation, what is your best type of investing. There are a lot of free resources, on different websites through banks, from superannuation funds. There are government sites, for example, platforms such as Wire, WIRE. This is really for ladies, very specifically for women. One resource that I would recommend, although it's a government site, is ASIC's Money Smart. A lot of data, a lot of calculators there for free. But what I would suggest, which I have a slide later on, is actually utilize our resources. I have a huge YouTube channel. Go and watch every single video. You will learn. I hear it from clients all the time, how much they've learned when they were listening to my videos. My whole website is a huge library of financial resources. So for free, you can go and spend as much time as you want to. And use resources with plain language. Many women report feeling overwhelmed by jargon. So that's one thing that I do not do. Like if you listen to my videos and read my articles, everything is written and said in extremely plain English. And again, I always get a feedback that this is why people are drawn to this, because I'm not trying to use big financial, words. Everything is just for normal people. Seek support and advice. So financial coaching, financial planning, talk to other women. There are financial communities, workshops. That helps a great deal. If you find yourself in a financial trouble, don't feel ashamed about it. Like really try to break this silence and talk about money with whoever you feel comfortable with. That's the worst that we can do, is like, oh, she's gonna judge me, he's gonna judge me. Financial planners these days don't judge. I don't judge. I'm here to assist and help and find solution, not any judgment. And women tend to do this very often. I'm not good with money. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to manage money. Don't use this language. Honestly, that is not helping. Um, if you speak with people and just a little bit of knowledge, that will go a long way. And then step by step, you can improve your situation and just take small and consistent actions. And one thing that it says somewhere later on, one thing that I always encourage, if you have a little win, just celebrate. Like honestly, celebrate big time. Yell, dance, have a drink, whatever you love, but show to yourself that you can actually really achieve whatever you set out to achieve. So when we're talking about those strong financial foundation, I've mentioned emergency funds. This is probably step number one that everyone should put into place. Concentrate on repaying your outstanding debts. And if you have debts, start with the debts that have the highest interest because they cost you the most. Or alternatively, you can, if you have several, like I've spoken with people that can have 10 credit cards with debts. If that's the situation, then start with the smallest one. Pay this one off. And whatever you were paying for that card, take that portion of money, go to the next smallest one. Pay that off. Then whatever repayments were for those two, take all this money and jump to the third one. Like I said, I've seen it, and by putting this strategy into place, I saw people paying off their debts they couldn't believe within 12 months they were debt free. It really goes back to the strategy, focus, and consistency. Check your will, extremely important. All your legal documents should be in place, and check the validity, check whether they still are correct and what you really want them to say, that your beneficiaries are still continue to be the right the beneficiaries. Have the power of attorney, have medical powers of attorney, all those things should be in place, especially for ladies. And then go back to your superannuation. Do you have death nomination? Is it the right one? And check with your superannuation fund if your death nomination can be binding and non-lapsing. That is very important. Binding means that superannuation trustee cannot change your decision. Non-lapsing means that it will stay in place unless you decide to change it. Okay, so number two, power of compound interest. The earlier you start, the better the financial outcome. Everyone says, I understand compound interest, it's so easy, maths, and yet we do not do this. If you do the calculations and let's say you start saving just $100 with your very first job, just $100 aside with your very first job, and as your work progresses and you earn more, that $100 goes up with CPI, and every single month you just put aside $100, I promise you by the time you are retired, you're almost millionaire, or maybe even more. So everyone could be millionaire. We just don't do it because we think, oh, $100, I will do it tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. So compound interest is the biggest benefit that exists with money, and that's the one that everyone disregards. But we were just talking with Faye before, a lot of people sort of start thinking about savings and retirement when they get there. My suggestion is, especially once you have your kids off your hand, they adults, they start their own life, that's the time when you really can concentrate and focus on yourself. When you have another, let's say 10, 12, 15 years left till your retirement, you'll be surprised what you can achieve with a little bit of focus and consistency. Those two things are extremely important. When investing, diversify your portfolio. It's extremely important to invest money through various asset classes. And it's not only for good returns, but also for reduction of volatility and risk in investing. So if we are looking at those conservative funds, balanced funds, they are internally diversified. The question is, do you want to accept a default diversification by the fund, or do you want to learn and kind of pick it yourself? And obviously we're going to improving your financial literacy. So those are the things that you can achieve. I've actually mentioned them before, that you can, while working with financial planners, you can gain a lot of knowledge, confidence, and education. I've kind of gone through this, why financial matters are important for ladies. So we've discussed this in the meantime before. And I've also listed my resources. So please go and, immerse yourself if you find money interesting and important. Both the YouTube channel about retirement TV and the website filled with articles and videos and calculators, a lot of things for you available. And I've mentioned those two, Wire and Money Smart. So that's it. That's me, and that's my presentation for you. So I'm hoping that you found this interesting and helpful. And yes, so if you have any questions, let me know.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Catherine. I wrote down quite a few notes. So while the other ladies are getting ready for your questions, please bring your questions. I want to just ask one. Well, I've got a few. First, you talked about salary sacrifice right at the beginning. And I've done salary sacrifice when I've been working with people. But now that I work for myself, how does that, can you still do salary sacrifice when you work for yourself?
So when you are working for yourself, it's not called salary sacrifice because you don't have the actual salary being paid to you, but you can contribute to superannuation as your personal concessional, what we call contribution. So you just contribute to super, and then you have to submit to superannuation fund a form which is called intention to claim tax deduction. And at that point, it's exactly the same outcome as salary sacrifice.
Yeah, great. I actually do have a financial planner, and from last year I started putting extra super in, and they claim on my. I just wasn't sure if it was a separate thing, but they actually do that, which is great. Yeah. Okay, I've got other questions, but I'm going to just check in with the other ladies, and I'll come back if I don't. Deborah or Christina? Christina, either of you have any questions?
I am retired, and I followed your steps. I retired early. I've always salary sacrificed every pay increase, half of every pay increase when I was working. So I managed all of that.
Very good.
I'm now retired, and there's no more money coming in except my nice super.
Yeah.
And now I have this spending fear that, and it's not logical. I had done the maths, I've worked it out, I have the budget, but the car died yesterday, and I'm like, oh my God, now I have to take money out to buy a car. And I don't know what the question is here, but how do you handle that fear, knowing that it's illogical?
Look, usually, a lot of people have that fear. There's no question about that. But it really comes back to what I've mentioned before. If you run the figures, if you do the modeling, and if every single time, for example, like your situation right now, let's say you've like you said, you've done your figures, okay? If you go back to that calculator and now you say, okay, I need to buy a new car or I need to fix my car, it will cost me $10,000, $20,000, whatever it is. Just dump it into your calculator and see the outcome and how much of the difference that actually makes in the outcome for the next 10, 20 years. If you find that that's, in most cases, you will see that it can be pretty, doesn't make much difference. So when you see this, I think it goes back altogether about seeing the outcome and before you actually do this, because that will bring a lot of security before you go and spend the money.
That's good. Thank you. I'll do that. That's a good step.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, Deborah?
I think actually both Faith and Christine, you've asked really good questions that have been helpful for me to benefit from hearing about as well. I guess I was going to ask about, what are less conservative but still safer options. But Catherine, you've kindly kind of given information. I'll go and pour through your website and YouTube's and other things. But so I guess my question is superannuation, if you're 10, 15 years out from retirement, is superannuation the best place to look to invest along with the salary sacrificing, or should we really be looking to create financial abundance and security in a less risk-averse way?
Look, every type of, let me answer this way. The worst type of situation is if we don't save at all and we just go and spend the money. Any investing, any type of saving is better than none. Superannuation just simply is more tax-driven vehicle. And this is the government organized and came up with this idea of superannuation with such incredible tax benefits for us that everyone is just focused these days on superannuation. And there is it's a huge benefit because you put the money in, and the whole idea of you not being able to touch it. That's why it's growing, because our takes away our temptation, normal behavior, temptation to spend it. That's why we end up with so much. And then when you go to retirement, as according to with today's rules, all this money becomes to you back as an income stream, and everything is tax-free. So you can't think of any other investment that is available to us that is 100% tax-free. There is no income tax. There is no tax within pension funds. So this is the biggest benefit. That's why probably we are talking about superannuation. Put as much as you possibly can for those reasons. But I see all the time people buying investment properties on the site or building their share portfolio on the site. And sometimes it is because, well, you can't buy an investment property and borrow money within super unless you have self-managed super fund. And even that has limitations. So then you go and end up buying on your own name. Fantastic, that's great. But in 9 situations out of 10, we will be selling the property 5 minutes before retirement, because then we want to take the profits and push it into this tax-free environment of superannuation and pension. Building shares portfolio on the site, fantastic idea. And especially you can belong to the club with other ladies. There are clubs for share investing. And not only you have fun with other girls, you can have bubbly together, but you actually can learn a lot and, invest slowly, and your investment grows. And that's something that sits on the side of superannuation. So a lot of people are very concerned about government creating constant rules and control around super. This is the reason why sometimes people will say, look, I really would prefer to have something outside of superannuation, not to mention that I always can sell part of it and use for my own needs. So I don't know whether I answered your question, but I honestly believe that if you can balance all those three components, plus cash, of course, as your backup, that would be fantastic. You don't have to push everything to super, but super is extremely tax-effective vehicle.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you.
Okay. Chanel's got a question. Chanel's in the office, so she can't ask out, but she's just written a message for us. So, as someone who's 20 years away from retirement, should I choose to aggressive invest in options for my super for the next 10 years? I choose A.
Okay, well, officially, I shouldn't be really advising on risk with investments, but if we could talking in general, as a general rule, when you have such a long time frame, absolutely, you can choose higher risk portfolios, because even if you experience any volatility along the way, you have such a long period of time for market to recover, and your compound interest will just go crazy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, but make sure that you diversify, not just Australia, across, the whole world investments. So just be very smart and open to other country investments. Yeah.
Great. My other question around retirement was what you said around that we should have 70% of our pre-retirement income. And I wondered how many people have that. When I talk to a lot of people, most people have so much less than that. So I just wondered what you had to say about that.
Well, this is probably the best case scenario. How I would say that when I'm looking at our clients, probably about 60% will have that with their own private resources. But when we are preparing their income streams, we desperately are trying to get as much as possible from the government. In a situation of a single people have their retirement is more difficult. There is no question about that. But if we are talking about couple and we are able to organize your money in a way where we can maximize the benefit from Social Security, from Centrelink in a form of age pension, when we add that together with your money supplementing, very often we can get to that point. Like I have clients on $60,000, $65,000, $70,000 retirement income, and big portion of that income comes from age pension.
So why is it more difficult for single people? Because I know there's a lot of women in our community that are single, divorced. Why is it more difficult for single people?
Well, it is more difficult because in most cases, expenses are the same. You have the same house, the same insurance, the same, gas heating. So expenses are not much lower. The only thing is that there is one mouth to feed instead of two. That's probably just about the only difference. So expenses in general are not that much lower, but being single person, especially for a long time, you are the only one earning, you are the only one saving. Therefore, the saving capacity is lower. And that creates, so the age pension is higher than for couple as per person. But when you put the two together, they still get well over $40,000, while a single person is getting 28. So to live on single age pension with no other money of your own, very hard.
So at what age do people get the age pension? I know it's a really basic question, but I've never known that one. At what age do people get?
67 as we are today. 67.
Sorry, 67. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's only if you work less. Like I intend to work till 70. Will I get it automatic at 67, or only when I work less?
If for example, a lot of I have also a lot of clients who are in age pension age, so past 67, and they work part-time, on a side for various reasons. But you'd be surprised, as a couple, your income can be almost up to $100,000, and you can still get part age pension.
Okay.
So,
I like that one.
So you can continue working, and I always say apply for age pension because you might be surprised.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. Lovely meeting you, ladies. Thank you. Bye-bye.